Okay, so let's get started. Again, as always, thank you so much for joining us today. We are thrilled. We've got such a great turnout, which I think speaks volumes to how important this topic is and about our amazing presenter, Dr. Angela Beal. She is from Rumpus Writing and Editing. It's a company that specializes in creating content for the animal health industry. So I know you've read lots of her work and have appreciated it over the years. A little background on Dr. Beal. She earned her DVM from The Ohio State University in 2003, started her career as a practicing veterinarian, and then moved into education. She built a technician program from the ground up in 2018, so I'm sure we've all benefited from that as well. And then she joined the Rumpus Writing, helping practices create clear, engaging, and effective content, because we know we need help with that. Didn't learn that in vet school. Super excited to have her today to help us tackle the marketing. If you have any questions along the way, let's just type it in the chat, and then she'll kind of have a natural breaking point and work in those as we come to the stop. She is happy to share her slides with anyone who's interested. We'll share her email at the end. And then, as always, we will post this on YouTube today or tomorrow so that you can share it with the rest of your team if you need to. So, super brief intro. Really want to get down to the topic. Dr. Beal, take it away.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining. I'm happy to be here. And thank you, Megan, for the introduction. So we're going to talk about veterinary practice marketing and specifically digital strategies for gaining clients and increasing engagement. So just a little bit about me, although Megan did a fantastic job there. I am a veterinarian. I graduated from, yes, the Ohio State University in 2003. I practiced in small animal medicine for about 2 years, and then for the next 15 years, I directed a vet tech training program at a local small community college here in Columbus, Ohio. In 2018, I started doing some writing on the side, mainly blog posts and other type of content. And then in 2020, I became the full-time Chief Operations Officer of Rumpus Writing and Editing. I am a dog mom, so there are my two little ones sitting on my bed. So Yogi is the one lying down, and he is my old guy. So he is 14 years old, and he was our only pet for a good 10 years before we adopted Loretta about 3 months ago. And the look on his face right there says everything about what he thinks about that. So he is getting used to sharing his home and his people with this new little dog. I'm also a mom of two-legged children. So I'm pictured there with my husband, Matt, and our two boys, Lucas and Tyler. So we are going to talk about how digital marketing can benefit your veterinary practice. We'll start off by talking about how to plan for that content by creating a content calendar and how to use kind of like the basic components of a marketing plan, which are mainly blog posts, social media posts, and email. And then we'll mention some other types of content at the end as well, to create like this nice marketing plan that can help your practice. And then for each type of content, we'll also talk about how you can use AI to lighten the load. So you might wonder, do you really need a marketing strategy? So I would say the answer is yes. Oops, hold on one second here. Here we go. The answer is yes. If you want to recruit new clients, keep the clients you have, build long-term relationships, establish yourself as an expert, and provide your clients with credible information. So I would guess that is probably everyone here. So by putting educational content out there online, people can find you, of course. So that is how you recruit new clients. But it's also really important to help you retain the clients you already have. So when you only see clients once or twice a year, sometimes, you want to be able to keep in touch with them between visits and help build those long-term relationships. And so digital content that you're putting out online can help you do that. Educational content that you create also helps establish you as an expert. So as you accumulate more and more content, this library of content that your clients can reference, you are showing that you are the expert on these topics. And you are then providing your clients with credible information they can turn to instead of going elsewhere. So I guess I am trying to convey here that marketing is definitely about more than just gaining clients. Marketing has morphed into a great way, again, to just create those really long-lasting, authentic relationships with clients. So yes, it's certainly about education. We want to educate pet owners. We want to help them take better care of their pets. So by understanding what they should be doing for their pets, hopefully that increases compliance, which is great for you and your practice and your bottom line, of course. It also helps you reach different generations. So we know that in today's digital age, that pet owners, especially younger pet owners, expect businesses to have a digital presence and to be very active. And if you are not active online, you're likely missing out on clients. But at the end of the day, marketing should not feel salesy or gimmicky. So you really want to use it to help you build these real authentic relationships with your clients. So let's talk about where to start. So first of all, you'll want to decide what type of content you want to create. I would say the basics are blog posts, social posts, and email. And you might already do some of these or all of them, or maybe none. So we'll talk about how to get started. So after you decide what you're going to create, you want to decide who will create this content. So it might be a practice owner. It might be a practice manager. So for blogs especially, you want to make sure that this is someone who has really strong writing skills. You want to make sure the content you're putting out there is professionally done. But especially for social posts, you might tap some of your younger staff who are probably maybe more active online and keeping up with social media and the latest trends and fads. So after you decide who, then you can map out what kind of content you're going to create. And so you're going to do that by creating a content calendar. And we're going to talk about that in just a second here. So after you've made a plan, then you can start writing. So content calendars. So this is, I'm sharing our content calendar. So this is Rumpus Writing's content calendar for the month of October. And the content calendar is just a formal way to kind of map out the content you are going to create for the month. So this is the month, for the month. But you can do this on a monthly basis or a quarterly or even yearly basis. Some people map out their entire content for a year. So we actually, as a team, have a monthly meeting where we sit down together and decide what content we're going to create for the following month. And so you can see here that we're planning for blogs and social posts.
Good morning.
So up top, we have the blogs. So you can see that we post 2 blogs a month on the second and fourth Wednesday. And here are the title or the topics we've chosen for our 2 blogs for October. And then down below, we post social posts twice a week. So on the left there, we have the dates all mapped out and planned ahead. And then we have the different types of social posts, the topics that we're going to use. So we're a writing company. That first one there you can see is a writing tip. And then the next one, or the next 2, notice are posts about takeaways from our first blog post of the month. So we'll talk a little bit more about this as we go on, but anytime you publish a blog, you also want to post a social post about it to try to increase traffic to that blog post. So we've got 2 social posts about blog number 1. We then have another writing themed social post, one about National Vet Tech Week, which is coming up. And then 2 posts about our second blog for the month, and then National Cat Day. And this cut it off, but we have a fun post we're putting together about Halloween at the end there. And so I created this in Google Sheets, and they have these fun little drop-down menus. So the next column there shows which platforms we're going to be posting these social posts to. And so all of these are going to go on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. But some posts are better suited for some platforms than over others, so that could change. The next column over shows the type of image we will include with the post. So that first one there will be a graphic that we will create on Canva. Below that, you see we're going to do a video, like a selfie video, about the takeaways from the blog post. And then below that, we're going to create a carousel. And again, that will be like images created on Canva, summing up those blog takeaways. And then that last column there just designates which of our team members is responsible for that social post. So as you sit down to write and create your content calendar, I think one of the hardest things is trying to decide what to write about. In VetMed, we have endless topic options, but that can be a little overwhelming. So some ideas, I think just a nice mix of different topics works really well. Timely topics are always good. And if you're not aware, the AVMA has this really nice calendar where month by month they list out all the pet health and veterinary wellness, excuse me, veterinary awareness events of the month. So here's a picture of part of the October calendar. So you can see it shows here that October is Adopt a Shelter Dog Month, National Animal Safety and Protection Month, National Pet Wellness Month. There's National Obesity Awareness Day, National Veterinary Technician Week, and the list is much longer than this actually. So this is a great place to start if you are kind of at a loss about what to post about for the month. This helps. We use this quite a bit. Anything going on in your practice. So any news or updates. So for example, if you have brought on a new team member, got a new piece of equipment, if you are going to start offering a new service, those are great things to create content about. Clients always love behind the scenes looks. So anytime you can share things about your team or maybe a short, fun little success story, including pictures, of course. So, you can use stock photos for your content, but the more personal pictures you can share of your team and your practice, the better. And then also those questions that you get from clients in your exam room over and over again make great posts. So, if clients are asking those questions to you a lot, they're probably also searching online for that type of information. So AI can certainly help you create a content calendar. I tend to use ChatGTP, but there are a lot of different AI platforms out there. And if you've used others, maybe you have your favorite. But so I asked ChatGTP to create an October content calendar, including blogs and social posts for a veterinary practice located in Columbus, Ohio. And here's what I got in about 30 seconds. So you can see that for week one, it's even sectioned it out week by week. So for week one, it's giving us one blog post idea and two social post ideas. Now, I didn't tell ChatGTP how many blogs and social posts I wanted. And so that's a good lesson here. The more precise your prompt and the more information you give the AI, the more likely you'll get the output you're looking for. And so that's just something you can tweak. But so it's suggesting that we write a blog post during week one about fall pet safety, preventing toxic food and plant ingestion. And it even gives us a prompt and tells us what to write about. So we should cover Halloween candy, like chocolate, xylitol, and raisins, autumn plants like mums and mushrooms, and seasonal decor hazards. So that can be really helpful. When you go to write, sometimes, you get the blank screen syndrome and you're staring there and you don't even know where to start. So it's really helpful just to have that prompt to help where to start. And then it's giving us two social post ideas. So pumpkin spice is for people, not for pets. Keep lattes, breads, and muffins away from furry friends. And we can create a social post asking clients to share photos of their pet's favorite fall activity, like jumping in the leaves or hiking. And then you can see it goes on to map out every week. So we have ideas for week 2 here around National Veterinary Technician Week. Week 3 about preparing for cold weather. Week 4 about Halloween, and then week 5 looking ahead to November. So, and again, ChatGTP generated this in less than a minute. And so you might not like all of the ideas, and that's okay. You can take what you want, fill in spots with your own ideas, and again, it is interactive as well. So if you want something different, all you have to do is ask. You can ask ChatGTP or whatever AI tool you use to maybe make it your ideas more formal or less formal or more casual or more about Halloween or whatever you like. It's pretty responsive and will help out with that. So I'm going to pause for a second here. And if there are any questions about creating a content calendar and mapping out and planning ahead, I can answer them. And if not, we can jump into talking about blog posts.
I will ask a question. Do do the SEOs pick up as well on AI content? Is it okay if our blogs are AI created?
Yeah, so good question. We're gonna jump into that in a few
Okay.
minutes, but Google gets smarter and smarter, right? So Google can pick up to some degree AI created content, yes. And so we'll talk about, whether or not you should use a blog post created fully by AI or not. And spoiler alert, the answer is no, probably not. Google certainly prefers content that is written by people. And there's this acronym that's used, it's EEAT: experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. And so Google is certainly going to prefer things, and those type of things that are written by experts will rank higher than something that's been created by AI. Thanks, Megan. Any other questions? All right. Well, let's jump into blog posts. So how can blog posts help your marketing strategy? Um, so first and foremost, they're an educational tool. So blog posts are a way for you to write about a variety of different pet health topics, and you can amass a library. So as you start posting them on your site, they are going to accumulate and essentially become a library of information for your clients and that you can share with them. They also work behind the scenes to improve your search engine optimization, or SEO, meaning that it makes it more likely that your website will show up in someone's online search results. So, for example, if you have written a blog post about why is my cat peeing outside the litter box, which is probably something a lot of pet owners question, if you've written a post about that and someone searches for that topic online, it's more likely that your website, that blog post in your website, will show up in their search results. They can then click on that blog, read it, and then hopefully stay on your site and learn a little bit more about you. And then in that way, it's going to help potential clients find you. And hopefully, by educating our clients, we will help them take better care of their pets. So you might wonder if anyone's actually going to read the blog posts you create, right? And so I think that's a fear. I'm going to go to this effort and I'm going to post this blog on my site, and it's going to live out there in the digital world and no one is ever going to find it. Um, Hopefully that's not true. Blogs actually perform very, very well. So who will read them? Well, people who actually come to your website, clients and potential clients, may see that you have a blog page and pop onto that blog page and read some of your blog posts. But that is not the most likely scenario. And so we want to make sure when we publish a blog that we are trying to generate traffic to it. And one way we will do that is by creating a social media post, or more than one, about that blog, kind of like you saw on our content calendar. So we're going to create a social post with a little teaser about the blog, and then have a link there that people can click on to go directly to that blog post. So in that way, people scrolling social media hopefully will end up on our blog post. Also, like we've talked about, pet owners who are searching online for pet related topics will hopefully, if our blog post shows up in their search results, they will click on it and read. And then you can also send your blog posts to clients. So we'll talk a little bit later about having a digital, or excuse me, an email newsletter. So you can send an email newsletter out to your clients on a regular basis. And if you do that, you can include your blog posts. And then also you can send them to specific clients. So for example, if you diagnose a pet with diabetes, you know that after you say that word diabetes, they can kind of glaze over and maybe not hear the rest of what you have to say. Or, a better example might be cancer. So after the client has gone home and decompressed, you can send them a blog post about that condition that you've diagnosed their pet with, the blog post that you have written, again, showing that you're the expert. And so once they've like kind of settled down at home, they can read that information and better understand their pet's condition and how to keep how to manage it. So when you sit down to write a blog, first you'll need to decide, kind of an average length you want to use. And I'm sure you've all seen blogs of varying lengths. The shorter ones tend to be maybe 400 to 500 to 1,000 words. But then there are much longer form blogs that are, upwards of 1,000 or several thousand words. For this situation, I would certainly recommend that shorter is better. I think the average pet owner isn't going to want to spend more than 5 minutes, probably, reading a blog post. So somewhere between 400 and 1,000 words is a good target. As far as tone of voice, in general, you want to come off as warm, confident, and helpful, just like when you're in an exam room with a client. So it should kind of be like if you are, sitting down with a friend or a client over a cup of coffee, just talking to them one-on-one about how to take care of their pet. You definitely don't want to come across as judgmental or preachy or too stiff or formal. You definitely, I encourage, injecting some fun into your blogs. So incorporating a story, or a case study, or even writing it from a pet's perspective sometimes is fun. You just don't want to go too far and make it silly. Um, and there are lots and lots of different types of blog formats you can use. And I think it's fun to mix it up and do a mixture of these different types. And there are certainly more than these, but some ideas here. So listicles are always very popular. For example, you can write about 7 holiday foods to keep away from your pet. You can create a do's and don'ts list. So for example, do's and don'ts of choosing a Halloween costume for your pet. Safety tips so Halloween hazards, how to keep your pet safe, for example. And you can write a blog post about a case. So sweet but deadly, Bailey's brush with xylitol toxicity. And if you don't have a real case that fits the scenario or the condition you want to write about, that's okay. It can be a fictional case that you make up. We can do like a Mythbusters, busted 5 holiday safety myths. You can have a straightforward post about a health condition, for example, pancreatitis in pets, what every pet owner should know. And that type of blog, I would just kind of walk through, what is pancreatitis? What causes pancreatitis? What are the symptoms? How is it diagnosed? How is it treated? And then lastly here, I have one, again, blogs from a pet perspective can be really fun. How Winnie overcame her fear of fireworks. And this would be a blog written by Winnie about how her pet owner helped her overcome her fear of loud noises. So after you decide what you're going to write about and what type of format you're going to use, you're going to sit down and actually write your blog. So the most important part here is that the information is well organized and easy to read. And so you want to start with a catchy title that's going to hopefully grab someone's attention. And then you're going to have a short introduction. Usually 1 or 2 short paragraphs is plenty. You just kind of want to start again with something fun to catch their attention. And then just spell out what you're going to tell them in the blog. Right? So people like it when they know upfront what they're going to learn about. After that intro, you're going to want to have several subsections with headers. So people can kind of scan if they want. They might not want to read the whole thing. They might just want to jump to a specific section. But breaking up the text is a really good strategy. I don't know if you've ever opened a blog post and just saw a huge wall of text, but that looks pretty boring and kind of intimidating. And I think people then just close out and don't read. So the more you can break up that text and make it more readable, the better. So sections, short paragraphs within the sections, 2 to 5 sentences at most. And anytime you can create a bulleted list, that also helps break up the text. So for example, if you're listing out symptoms of a disease or treatment options, that's a great place for a bulleted list. And so at the end, you're going to write a short conclusion. Just a short paragraph is great. And it's going to include a call to action. So in these blogs that are targeting pet owners, you want to tell them what to do next. And that's going to usually be something along the lines of contact us to learn more. And you're going to link to your contact page there, or book an appointment where you will link to your appointment scheduling, page or tool, whatever you use. So AI can certainly help with blog writing as well. You can ask it to create titles for you. So sometimes I think the hardest part of writing is coming up with a good title. And I often don't do that until the very end. And so if you have a blog, you can just ask it to, you can either feed AI your entire blog and say, write a title for this blog, or you can simply just ask for, 10 ideas of titles about this topic. AI can create an outline for you. Again, just to help you get started and get past that blank screen. It can create an outline with prompts telling you what to write about in each section. It can also write entire sections for you. If you need help with the introduction or the conclusion or an interior section, AI can do that. And it can also write an entire blog. Here's my word of caution about that. I would definitely not take that AI written blog and post it directly to your website. Remember that AI is taking content that is already online, published online. It's pulling from multiple different sources and kind of mashing that information together to form a blog for you. So everything in that blog will be something that is already, published online somewhere. And Google does not like repeat content. So if your blog looks too much like something else that's already out there, that will hurt your SEO. And so what I would recommend is that if you ask AI to write an entire blog for you, you kind of use that as a skeleton and you edit very heavily. And then you add as much personalization about you and your practice as you can to help differentiate it from other material that's already published online. If you've already written a blog, you can ask AI to alter the tone. If you're feeling like your blog is a little too formal or stiff and you want it to be more casual, AI can help soften the tone. It can edit for you. So if you've written a blog and you just want AI to check your grammar and spelling, it can do that. It can also write a meta description for you, which is, when you do a search online and the results come up with the hyperlink titles and a little description, a short description after the title, that is the meta description. And so when you post a blog online, you'll have to include a meta description. So it can do that for you. It can write social posts to go along with the blog, all kind of things. So I just have some examples here. So I asked ChatGTP to suggest 10 creative titles for a blog post written by a veterinary clinic for pet owners about Halloween safety. And in about 30 seconds, it came up with these 10 titles. And so you can see, they're kind of fun. No tricks, just treats, keeping your pet safe this Halloween. Costumes, candy, and creepy noises, Halloween safety for pets. Don't let Halloween spook your pet, safety tricks for every treat. So lots of different ideas here. And often what I end up doing is kind of taking pieces of a couple of them and mashing them together and creating my own. Or sometimes just reading these gets my wheels turning and helps me to think of ideas on my own. And if you don't like these, you can ask AI to come up with more. You can ask them to make the title less casual, more casual. Again, AI is very interactive and can come up with as many ideas as you ask for. So next, I asked ChatGTP to create a blog outline about a blog about pet holiday safety tips. And so here we go. We have look at this nice outline it just created with prompts telling us exactly what we can write about. So it's suggesting that we start with an introduction with a warm, festive opening, acknowledging the joy of the holiday season, and then transitioning to remind pet owners that celebrations bring unique risks for furry family members, and then telling them that with a few precautions, holidays can stay safe and fun for pets. And then you can see here it's suggesting a subsection about dangerous holiday foods, including chocolate, xylitol and baked goods, and other toxic foods, rich and fatty foods that can increase the risk for pancreatitis, and then bones as well. And a second section about hazardous plants and decorations, sections about gift wrap and packaging, like string hazards and things like that. And then holiday decor related hazards like Christmas trees and snow globes. And then we're ending with a conclusion here, reassuring pet owners that with a little preparation, pets can enjoy the holidays safely. And then inviting them, so here's that call to action, inviting them to contact the clinic if they suspect their pet ingested something unsafe, or to book a holiday wellness check before the festivities. And so here's where you also would want to link to different places on your website. So contact the clinic, you're going to link to your contact page so people know exactly how to reach out to you. Book a holiday wellness check, you're going to link to your booking page. And so you can see at the bottom here, AI asked, would you like me to expand this into a full blog post? I said yes, just to see what it came up with. And so here's just the beginning of that full length blog you can see. So we have the introduction and then it launches into that first section. So again, AI can be really very helpful when you're trying to create this content. It can, take quite of the lift off your shoulders and help speed up the process. Again, I would take that full length blog if you choose that option and edit heavily and add some personalization. And here it wrote a meta description and several social posts that we could also use along with the blog. So after you write a blog, the first thing you're going to do is post it to your website's blog page. If your website doesn't already have a blog page, just reach out to your website administrator and ask them to create that blog page for you. And this is where all your blogs will live. So I would suggest anytime you post, this is where they will live. And I would suggest that you let them accumulate. So there's no reason to remove them unless maybe you've written a blog about, a team member who is no longer with your practice or a service you no longer offer. But in general, most of the educational topics can stay and just accumulate to form this nice library of content on your blog page. You'll also want to share it on social media. So anytime you post a blog, I would recommend creating 1 or 2 social posts about it with that link to that blog that will help people find it and enable them to read it. If you have a monthly email newsletter, that's a great place to share your blog as well. And then you can also send blogs to clients before, after appointments. And this is a way a lot of people don't necessarily think about using blogs. So for example, if you have clients who are coming in for wellness visits, you can send them a blog about the importance of wellness diagnostic testing. And so if they read that blog before they come, they now have an idea of the types of wellness diagnostics you might recommend when they're in their appointment. And they've read about why those tests, what they are and why they're important for their pet. And again, it's just introducing that idea. And then when you bring it up, it's something they've already heard and it's not going to be a surprise. You can also send a blog post to a client after an appointment. Like we mentioned earlier, if you diagnose a pet with a specific condition, you can send a blog post to that client after the appointment, helping them better understand their pet's disease. And so in general, some best practices about posting blogs. So you want to post consistently, and that's where that content calendar helps. It helps to plan out the month or quarter or whatever, but it helps to plan out and hopefully having those dates keeps you accountable. If you have a due date where you have to get a blog, prepared and published by that date. So definitely I would post consistently and at regular intervals. And that could be once a month, twice a month, once a week, whatever you choose is fine. I would just try to do it on a regular basis. And you also want to make sure you're posting unique content. So again, Google will ding your SEO for repeat content. You don't want to take something that you found elsewhere online and post it directly to your website, to your blog page. And again, if you use AI to generate a blog, I would certainly edit it heavily. You want to include at least one image with your blog. Images, people like images. Google likes images and will choose content that includes images over content that doesn't. And you also want to include a byline with credentials. So if this blog was written by a veterinarian or a credentialed technician in your practice, I would absolutely include their name and credentials. Like we talked about, Google prefers content that is written by experts over AI generated content or content that is written by someone who is not an expert in their field. So including that byline with the credentials helps with that part. All right, well, that kind of wraps up about blogs. I'm going to pause here and just see if there are any questions that have come in through the chat or that you guys want to ask about blog posts before I jump into social.
No questions through the chat, but y'all feel free to chime in.
All right, well, I will move on to social. Again, there'll be plenty of time at the end for questions as well. So if you have them, feel free to put them in the chat. We can do them at the end if you
Oh,
like.
there you go. Is it worth
Oh,
reposting similar content on a yearly basis?
so reposting similar content, there's nothing wrong with posting content that is similar to what you've posted last year. So for example, February is dental health month, right? And so tons and tons of content in February about dental health. And just because you posted last February about dental health does not mean that you can't post this February about dental health. I would certainly come at it from a different angle and make it something different than what you posted last year, but there's certainly no harm in doing that. And again, like these are things you want to post about, things you think people are interested in and asking questions about and searching online about. And so the more content you have about those topics, the better. Great question. Thank you. All right, so let's talk about social posts. So social posts can help attract different types of clients. We know that different people, different age groups, especially scroll through Facebook versus Instagram and TikTok. They can also help increase web traffic. So if you are posting things on social media with links to different parts of your website and your blogs, that's going to increase traffic to your website. And social posts are just a great way to help clients get to know you on a more personal level. And again, part of marketing, a large part of marketing, is trying to grow and foster those long-term relationships with your clients. So a big question is which social platforms you should post on. And so, like I mentioned, we know that different people and age groups tend to appear on different types of platforms. And so Facebook, it tends to be more older adults, whereas your younger generations, like millennials and Gen Z pet owners, are you're going to find them more on Instagram and TikTok. And we know that millennials and Gen Z pet owners are making up a larger and larger segment of the pet owning population. So if you're only posting to Facebook right now, I would certainly recommend you branch out into some other platforms as well. And just like your blogs, you want to post a good mix. So educational posts about, disease conditions, behavior topics, behind the scenes looks at what's going on in your practice. Cute pet posts, absolutely include those things. This shouldn't be your entire marketing plan, but people love to see cute pictures of pets. And timely topics always do well. So the holidays are right around the corner. And that's tons of great content fodder. So, Halloween safety, chocolate toxicity, xylitol toxicity, pancreatitis in pets, Thanksgiving, what foods not to share with your pets over the holidays, cold weather safety, winter is coming, cold weather safety. And in the summer, how to recognize signs of heat stroke. So all of those things make great social posts. And also don't forget that whenever you publish a blog post, you want to publish a social post, at least one, maybe multiple, to go along with it, kind of sharing those highlights of the blog and with a link that people can click on to go to the blog to increase website traffic. So writing social posts, in general, I mean, we all scroll social media. You know that in general, shorter posts probably do better. And so different platforms have different word counts, but shorter is good. Include some sort of an image to grab attention. And that can be a graphic that you create on Canva or another tool. It can be a photo. Again, stock images are okay, but the more personal images you can use, the better. And videos do great. People love videos online. So videos, selfie videos that your team makes, videos of things happening in your practice are great. And then you want to also encourage engagement. So you want people to comment on your post because the more engagement you have, the more likely it is that your post will show up in someone's feed. So pose a question that people can answer in the comments. Ask them to share a story or experience. Ask them to post a picture of their pet. So anything to get people to comment that will increase engagement is great. AI can, of course, definitely help you write social posts as well. And so here I asked ChatGTP to write a social post for a veterinary hospital about pet Halloween safety. And so here's what it churned out for me. Halloween is fun for humans, but it can be spooky and even dangerous for pets. Keep your furry friends safe this October 31st with a few simple tricks. Keep candy, especially chocolate and xylitol, out of paw's reach. Avoid costumes that restrict movement or breathing. Watch the door. Trick or treat traffic makes it easy for pets to slip out. And create a quiet space if your pet is anxious about noise or visitors. Let's keep Halloween full of treats, not trips to the vet. Share your pet's costume with us in the comments. We'd love to see. And so here we have this great post. I think it did a really good job here. We have these great safety tips. And then at the end, we're encouraging engagement. We're asking people to post a picture of their pet's costume in the comments. And down below, you can see ChatGTP even asked if I wanted it to create 3 to 5 variations of this post that can be used on different platforms. So that's fun. So best practices for social posting. So again, like we mentioned, I would recommend posting to multiple platforms to help you reach different audiences. I would post consistently. You don't need to post every day. That's kind of a lot. You can, but 2 to 3 days a week is sufficient. And you want to make sure you're providing value to people. So again, cute pet posts are fantastic, but you also want to include some educational content so people feel like they're getting something from your posts. And absolutely add personality. Again, this social is a great way for people to get to know your practice on a more human, personal level. Um, and then, if we are asking clients to engage with us, we want to make sure we engage back. And so you want to designate someone to reply to comments that come in on these posts in a timely manner. All right, so that is social posts. Just real quick, I'll pause. Any questions about social posts before we talk about emails?
I'm just made of questions.
Good.
How important are hashtags? Because I don't understand them and I don't know what happens to them. And so do we need to be adding on hashtags?
So you can. And so hashtags kind of just help target specific populations of people. But I don't know, recently they're kind of saying hashtags are dead. So just a testament to how quickly things change in the digital world in Google. So I think that they are kind of falling out of favor, actually. So it doesn't hurt to include them, but I think as time goes on, they might have less effect. So it's not I would say it's probably not necessary a lot of times.
Okay, then
Yeah.
I'm not going to learn about them. Thank you.
Yeah, you can skip it.
Here we go. Does adding music to videos make a difference?
Um, I guess I can't quote numbers for you, but I think if the video is silent, then absolutely add some music. If it's obviously if it's a selfie video or someone talking, or you want to hear what's going on in the video, no music, of course. But if not, I think music is great. Yes. Good. Oh, good. All right. Fantastic, guys. Thank you. So emails. So whereas social posts and blog posts are, you're putting them out into the digital world for kind of anyone who comes across them. You're sending emails to specific people. So they're kind of on a more personal level. So it allows you to communicate with specific pet owners. So you can send an email to one pet, to one client, or to groups of clients. So, for example, you can send an email to all of your clients who own cats, or all of your clients who own senior pets, or all of your clients who own puppies. Okay. So it allows you to target specific groups of pet owners. It also helps foster those relationships between visits. Again, for those clients you only see once or twice a year, it's nice to touch base with them and remind them about you and your practice between those visits. They also can be used to help encourage clients to stay up to date with specific services. So, if a patient is behind on wellness visits or vaccines or parasite prevention, that can trigger an email to them to encourage them to keep up to date with those services. And so you can send a lot of different emails. You can send an email to clients before their visit, helping them prepare for the visit and letting them know if you need them to bring anything specific, like a fecal sample or a urine sample, or if their pet needs to be fasted for some sort of specific testing. You can also follow up a visit with an email. If you've run blood work or another diagnostic test, you can include test results. If you've diagnosed a patient with a specific condition, you can send them an email about that health condition. You can also send emails, again, to remind clients about overdue services like a wellness visit or a vaccines or a dental cleaning. You can also send a monthly practice newsletter, and we'll talk about what that looks like in a few minutes here. And so this sounds like a lot of work. And if you were to sit down and type an email for each of these situations, it absolutely would be. But your practice management software or your client communication platform can do most of this work for you. So it can be set up to automatically send an email to every patient who is behind on a wellness visit or a dental cleaning or their vaccines. So you will have to create these email templates to start with, um, but um, but AI can certainly help with that. So you'll need to create those templates. But after you do that and upload them to your practice management software or communication platform, you can set this to be done automatically for you, creating very, very little work for your team. And so here is an example. I told ChatGTP that I am the practice manager of a veterinary practice in Columbus, Ohio. Write an email I can send to clients who have pets who are overdue for their annual wellness visit. Include why wellness visits are important to a pet's health. And so here is what it gave me. We noticed, so first of all, you can see that there are places to fill in the client's name and the pet's name. So we're personalizing this, and your practice management software will do that for you. Or your email platform, whatever you're using. But we noticed that your pet is overdue for their annual wellness visit, and we'd love to see them soon. Wellness visits are one of the most important ways to protect your pet's health and catch concerns early before they become bigger and more costly problems. Here's why annual checkups matter. Early detection saves lives, preventive care is easier than emergency care, and a longer, happier life for your pet. Fall is a great time to schedule a visit before the holiday hustle begins. And here's then is that call to action. Call us at this number or click below to book your pet's appointment today. We can't wait to see you and your pet back at the clinic. So this is actually, I think, AI did a great job here. And so this is a nice email template that you can use as is, or you can change up and personalize a little bit more if you want. But this is a great template that you can load right in that can be triggered and sent to patients who are overdue on their wellness visit. I mentioned monthly email newsletters. So this is a little piece of one that was sent out actually by AHA to pet owners. And so most mass email platforms, whatever you use to send email out to clients, will have kind of like a template for this that you can simply plug in your copy and your photos and create these nice little buttons that people can click on. And so in that monthly or quarterly, whatever you want to do, just on a regular basis, if you can send an email newsletter out to your clients, I would include your blog posts. If you're doing this monthly, however many blog posts you publish that month, put them in there. And so that's what we're seeing here on this one from AHA. So you can see each of these two entries, we have like a title there of the blog, and then one or two sentences kind of teasing the blog with a button that people can click on to read the blog post. So again, increasing traffic to your website and blog traffic. If you have a social post or two that performed really well this month, put that in there with a link. Any practice updates you want to communicate. If you're having different hours for the holiday or you've hired a new team member, put that in there. If you're hosting or participating in any type of events, if maybe you're going to have your team will have a table at a community event like a festival, or you're participating in a parade, or you're hosting an open house or puppy preschool or behavior classes, put that in your newsletter. And basically anything you want to share with your clients can go in there. And then, like I said, the big three are your blog posts, your social posts, and email marketing. But you can certainly add in different types of digital marketing as well. So, a lot of practice management software and communication platforms now include two-way messaging. So you can send texts to clients with reminders for their pet services and updates. You can host a webinar just like we're doing right here. You can have a webinar for your clients and where you talk about maybe a specific pet health condition or a behavior condition. You can do a live social media event, kind of like an Ask Me Anything. In 60 minutes, ask me vet questions. You can use digital ads that show up on different types of social platforms. So there are a lot of different components you can add to a marketing plan. But to kind of to sum it up here, digital marketing is about more than just gaining clients. It's really about fostering those long-term relationships with your clients to keep them coming back. And creating a content calendar will help you plan out and stay on track. And creating content doesn't have to be difficult. AI can help and shorten your time and your effort considerably. And blog, social posts, and email together can help you reach clients in multiple different formats. So I thank you guys very much for joining. I've really appreciated this opportunity, and feel free to reach out to me. Like Megan mentioned, I'm happy to share my slides. If anyone is interested in them, just reach out to me by email and I will be happy to send them your way.
I think this was great. And I think maybe not so many questions because you covered so well. You had a lot of topics that you covered really well. If you guys are welcome to come off mute, if you have questions, you can type them into the chat. I'd also be interested to hear if anybody has a campaign that worked really well for them that they're willing to share, something that they did that was really successful. So we've got a couple minutes left if anyone's interested in being brave and asking those questions or sharing those stories. Program recommended for video editing.
Oh, that's a good question. And I don't have an answer for you off the cuff. So I apologize. I don't do a whole lot of video editing myself. There is a power in team. So one of our team members really kind of spearheads a lot of our video social posting. So if you shoot me an email, I'd be happy to find an answer for you though.
Let's see. Any recommendations for frequency of reminders for services due? To go back and forth between something that's spammy versus getting that
Yeah,
booked.
I know. Good question. I think it's an idea to send a reminder even prior to, the time that service is due, of course. If a pet is coming up on their vaccine due date, send a reminder maybe a month ahead, and then, you can do 2 weeks out, a week out. And then if that date passes and they haven't come in, I think you can send a couple of reminders after. So of course you don't want to do it indefinitely because that becomes annoying. But I think a couple times before the due date and then, maybe 2 times after I think is acceptable.
Um, Heather Moore said, thank you so much. And then do you recommend written consent from owners to post their pets, or is verbal okay from a legal standpoint?
Oh, good question. Gosh, consent, of course. I'm glad you said that. Thank you. I guess to cover yourself, written is always better, right? I mean, if you have it in writing, that's always a better than verbal.
Come on, Justin, come off mute. Tell us your story. Justin's going to share a campaign with us.
Go
Hi,
ahead.
ma'am. Hi, ma'am. I'm Justin Rodriguez. I'm currently helping with the Veterinary Care Centers of Texas with their social media. Before I got involved, their engagements were about 1,000 a month. Since taking over about 2 weeks, we have jumped up to 5,000, and the only change we've made is sharing our clients' dogs in costumes and trying to get. So we have shared a big campaign of, hey, we want to see the best costumes of the month of October. In doing so, our clients have been sending us pictures of their dogs throughout the month of their dogs, and they've actually been sharing that content throughout their pages to win votes to see who has the best costume. In doing so, more eyes have actually been coming to our social media posts and our social media pages.
That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. What a good success story. 500% is incredible.
Tiffany said last December we did a donation box for a local shelter. We posted photos of the doctors with the donation box that was decorated and the donations on social media. We ended up having so many donations that it filled up half our lobby, way more than just a box, multiple times. Yay!
Oh, I love that.
On multiple levels, right?
Hmm.
These are great. Anybody else before we wrap up? Okay. Dr. Beal, you were amazing. Thank you so much. This was fantastic. We had a great turnout today, so I think that everyone went away with lots of to-dos and how to do them, which is fantastic. As always, thank you for joining us. Next month we are talking to Darren at Provide about financing your practice and which way is right for you. If you need CE for today, go ahead and email events@granitepeakcpa.com. We'll get you a CE certificate. You can always reach out to Dr. Beal if you have questions or want the slideshow. Post it on YouTube, and we'll see you next month. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Megan, for having me in Granite Peak. And thanks everyone for joining.
Thank you. Bye.